Let's go Ravens! As John Harbaugh finalizes the final details for his upcoming matchup with the Denver Broncos, there's a lot of buzz surrounding lineup changes and potential new moves on the horizon. We have some great news about our quarterback Lamar Jackson. Yes, he's playing this Sunday, but we have to talk about some risks. First of all, make sure you've hit the like button if you think the Ravens will beat the Denver Broncos. If possible, write something like, "Go Ravens, let's win." So let's talk about the roster. First, John Harbaugh confirmed that Marcus Williams is set to play, and there's a good chance he'll start. After sitting out, the hope is that this return will light a fire under Williams and the entire Ravens defense. This benching sent a message. No starting spot is guaranteed. Regardless of rank or salary, everyone is responsible, and Ravens fans are all about seeing this defensive unit excel. Speaking of returns, Deontay Johnson is also set to make an appearance, adding new energy to the Ravens' offensive lineup. While he and Lamar Jackson have only had limited practice sessions together, this duo has all the makings of a powerful connection. Both Florida natives, they bring that natural rhythm that fans can expect to see pay off on Sunday. Johnson's contribution will likely start with punt returns, but don't be surprised if he's also involved offensively. While he's still settling into his role, the Ravens' offense has received a boost, and we're excited to see how that translates on the field. On another important note, running back Keaton Mitchell has been pushing hard in every practice. While Harbaugh hasn't confirmed his status for this upcoming game, it's only a matter of time before we see him activated. Lamar himself praised Mitchell after a recent practice, highlighting his speed and explosiveness. The Ravens' offense is looking faster, stronger, and ready to compete. The real question now, can the defense keep up? The Ravens' defensive performance this season has been, shall we say, shaky. The run defense has held up, but the pass defense has struggled, leaving the Ravens vulnerable. With the trade deadline approaching, Baltimore has some decisions to make. A recent report from Jordan Schultz suggests that several AFC teams, many with just 2 wins under their belts, are evaluating their strategies and may be open to trade talks depending on this weekend's results. If these teams decide their seasons are effectively over, they could be ready to make some big moves, potentially benefiting the Ravens. As we near the deadline, speculation is already swirling about potential reinforcements. Zadarius Smith is a name that keeps coming up. Fans are curious about a possible reunion, as he could bring much-needed pressure on the edge. Calais Campbell's also been mentioned for interior defense, as he's now with the Dolphins on an affordable deal that could work for the Ravens. Then there's the ultimate long shot, Max Crosby. The excitement around him joining Baltimore is real, though it's likely a dream scenario given his situation with the Raiders. But the biggest rumor? None other than Jadeveon Clowney. Currently with the Panthers, Clowney has experience in a similar defensive system, and his leadership and playmaking could be exactly what the Ravens need. In his last season with Baltimore, Clowney had an impressive 9.5 sacks, providing consistent edge pressure. Adding him to this roster could solidify the Ravens' defense as they push for a deep playoff run. Even the odds are in Baltimore's favor to land Clowney, who's seen as a versatile piece able to bolster both the run and pass defense. The Ravens have their young talents like Odafe Oweh and David Ojabo, but Clowney could bring stability and that veteran edge.
Meanwhile, the linebacker core is still adjusting, and some fans are wondering about Roquan Smith's role in all this. Smith, a key communicator on the field, has looked a little off this season. The shift in defensive language with new coordinators could be affecting the group's cohesion. Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald was instrumental in last year's solid performance, and this transition has clearly introduced some challenges. For Ravens fans, seeing the field leadership get back to top form could be a game changer. Yet, as we look toward Tuesday's deadline, the team's options remain open. A trade could bring in some veteran talent, and there are a few realistic targets out there. But even without a trade, a couple of changes, like benching players who don't perform and shifting certain roles, might help Baltimore turn this defense around. Looking ahead to this Broncos matchup, Baltimore knows this isn't just about one win, it's about setting a tone. They'll be watching the trade market closely, and the results of Sunday's games could make all the difference. There's always room for improvement, especially if it means beefing up the pass rush to give the secondary some breathing room. But enough from us. Ravens fans, what do you think? Should Baltimore go all in on a trade for Clowney, or even consider a splash move for someone like Zadarius Smith? Or should we trust the process with the players we have and focus on internal adjustments? Let's hear your thoughts, predictions, and who you'd like to see in a Ravens uniform as we push toward the playoffs. Lamar Jackson's Thursday absence threw a bit of a wrench into Ravens fans' minds leading up to Sunday's clash with the Denver Broncos. While Jackson's status was in question for a moment, there was a different kind of anticipation inside the Broncos locker room too. NFL insider James Palmer of Underdog Fantasy shared that Denver had been preparing to face Jackson all week, but the quarterback missing a second practice created a ripple of buzz among Broncos players, with some even hoping he'd sit out. Well, that speculation didn't last long. Lamar and coach John Harbaugh shut it down fast, confirming he'll absolutely be on the field. Jackson made it crystal clear, saying, "Yes, 100%. Missing Sunday was never on the table. I'm just resting up. It's a long season." Harbaugh backed him up, reinforcing that there's no cause for concern about Jackson's absence impacting the team's rhythm or game plan. He'll be ready. "No doubts there," Harbaugh stated. "He's been studying all week. He's been part of every prep session, knows the game plan, knows the opponent. He'll be ready to go." But the excitement doesn't stop with Jackson's confirmation. Safety Marcus Williams, who returned to action against the Cleveland Browns in Week 8, but didn't play last week, will be back to add more defensive power against the Broncos. For Ravens fans, though, the real intrigue surrounds whether we'll see the return of running back Keaton Mitchell. Mitchell hasn't hit the field since tearing his ACL against the Jacksonville Jaguars in December 2023, but he was back in practice last Wednesday, participating fully and showing marked improvement in media-accessible parts of the practice. Harbaugh hinted that Mitchell might be ready to suit up, saying he looked solid this week. He looked good. "Absolutely. We'll have to make a decision as we go forward," Harbaugh remarked, suggesting that lineup considerations could factor into the final call. Jackson is more than ready to welcome Mitchell back, too. He sounded thrilled about his young teammates' progress, saying, "It's great to have him back out there. I told him. He caught a little pass and he took off. I was like, you're starting to look like last year's Keaton. It's just great to see him out there, in good spirits. He's always upbeat, but to see him on the field with us again, it's just good to see." But with injuries peppering the defensive line, Harbaugh's decision on activating Mitchell isn't so straightforward. The Ravens' depth will be tested this Sunday with defensive tackle Michael Pierce moved to injured reserve for a calf injury, and Brent Urban has yet to return to practice following a concussion against the Browns. Adding to the challenge, both Broderick Washington and Travis Jones are also nursing injuries, leaving Harbaugh to weigh some complex roster gymnastics. So, Ravens flock, what do you think? Should Harbaugh play it safe and keep Mitchell on standby? Or is it time to get him back into the action? And with Jackson ready to suit up, are you confident this offense will come out swinging against the Broncos? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Every take matters, and we want to hear where you stand.